You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
All right, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello, wherever you are in the world, one of those will apply to you. This is LTID TV1 from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube if that is your watching choice, or via LinkedIn or Twitch if they are. Please join in with the show. Add your comments into the chat if you are on YouTube. And if you're watching on Catch Up, thank you very much. Add your comments below. Always give them a read. Just keep them respectful. And also, if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, whether that is now, I think YouTube, I think Google Podcasts are gone, but you can listen on YouTube podcast. Not quite sure how that works. If you're going to watch on YouTube, surely just put the video on and listen to it. But apparently it is a separate thing now, or Spotify or Apple, whatever your choice of platform is. And remember to follow us on all the socials. Some of them we're not keeping up with as much as the others because it's been off season, but we'll catch that back up once we kick off. It's easy to find. It's LTID TV. How easy am I making it for you? Say a few hellos before I get my very special guest in. Wayne is in. Evening, Wayne, or evening. John is in. Hi, John. How you doing? And Nate, all the way from America. Every time I say that, I want to burst into song. So it's Joan Armour Trading. All the way from America. I could obviously be making that up totally. And evening, yeah, well, evening to us. Afternoon, or it's still morning, you say there, didn't you? 3 new signings tonight, Chris. Who knows? We've already been caught out. We have been totally and utterly caught out. Bloody Leicester, typical, don't do anything for a bloody week. Then the day we've got a show coming out, they decide to loan somebody out. Damn typical. Ben is in. Evening, Kate, Chris, and Foxes fans everywhere. We've had a very nice day. Hope you have too. And Highfields is in. Highfields, hello. How are you? Welcome along. So, look, I do like to set my guests a little bit of a challenge. Now, for those of you that watch this channel regularly, you know that when it comes to tactics and positions, I get a bit lost. I'm just a fan that likes to go and say, well, he should be kicking the ball and he's a striker. Why is he scoring the goal? Kate, on the other hand, knows all about false nines. I'm not going anywhere with that one. I'm going to keep it clean. I just realised where that could have gone. Sorry, Kate, I hadn't even planned that one. And she knows all that stuff. In so much so, in fact, and I have to say, welcome along to it. As you know, I do write for the BBC every Tuesday. Kate will be joining me, and we will be doing this. Once we get going, alternatively, I'm over in Oz for a month, so she'll be covering me for the whole month. So welcome along to the BBC, Kate. It'd be very, very nice to have you along. And I'm not saying anything, but since I've started inviting women on, I used to have to try and get the whole thing into 200 words. Now that they've got women on, they've upped it to 300. They've obviously decided that a woman can't talk in just 200 words. This is Leicester. Let's Talk Leicester Extra. Good evening. Oh, that's not right. Good evening, Kate.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Thank you very much.
Are you smooth and relaxed?
It depends who's asking.
Wasn't that what the caramel rabbit did?
We were talking about Jessica Rabbit because you've made my cartoon character there look like Jessica Rabbit's sister. Not necessarily, to be honest.
I've never seen that film. I don't know why.
How are we friends? Most guys will put Jessica Rabbit in their top 5.
Would they?
She's an absolute dream woman, yeah.
She's a cartoon character.
And
it's
said, just as realistic as some of the other top 5s, let's be honest.
I bet she had a couple of false 9s. Let me tell you. Do you remember the caramel bunny?
Yes.
Why are you running? Why are you rushing about? Relax with a smooth caramel. Now, she was hot. I'm going to say she was very hot. Anyway, but I think it says more about us men.
This is not started in the way I envisaged.
No, nor me, to be honest with you. I blame the false 9s. That started it all off.
Me too.
David is in, a 69-year-old Spurs fan from Beaumont Leeds. Never mind, David. Been a Spurs fan since 1960, but ended up marrying a Leicester girl for my sins. Is your transfer window going as bad as ours? Yeah. I think we'll just say yes to that one, you know. By the way, hi, Spencer. Just in case you're wondering what that is there behind me, Dave, I don't know if you can just see that. It's called a trophy. Now, I know the Spurs haven't got an awful lot of them recently, but it is called a trophy. No, you're welcome. You're welcome along, David. It is banter. It is banter. Now, tonight's show, Leicester City have already cocked it up for us, haven't they?
Yeah, it's not great, is it? I wish they'd consult us on these things when they know that we've been doing our homework.
I know, a week they've had to do it, and then wait until the day after you've spent an hour, well, a couple of hours, 10 minutes, putting your list together of who you would want.
Right, yeah. It was sandwiched in between watching Keely Hodgkinson last night, who was absolutely amazing, winning the 800 metres last night. And that's when I was doing my my Leicester Dream Team.
I can't get on with the Olympics. I'm sorry.
Oh, Chris, come on.
No.
Come on. But every sport going. It's not just running.
No, but the running, yes, that's one of the more exciting ones. Skateboarding. How long has that been a bloody Olympic sport, for God's sake?
Last time, I think. I've been all sorts. Canoeing, shooting, gymnastics. Not bothered about dressage so much. Oh, it's been brilliant. Sport all day, every day.
Well, to be honest with you, if anything, it has inspired me to get into sport again, because I thought, I'm 63, I'm male, I'm overweight. I could go into boxing, female boxing at the Olympics. Don't start me on that. Anyway, it was hard because these were the rules that were set out, and these are how the clubs pick their 25-man squad. If anybody's watching, this is what Kate had to stick to, and this is how our 25-man squad will be decided whenever we have to get it in by. And I have to say, I will be asking questions at the end, so do take notes if anybody's watching. The rules for Premier League squad selection are laid out for all 20 teams. Under 21 players, that is under 21 years of age, born on or after the 1st of January 2003, do not have to be registered in the squad and can be used freely. There are no homegrown player quotas like there is in European competitions, but there is a limit on non-homegrown players. Premier League teams can name 17 non-homegrown players in the squad. This rule doesn't just apply to non-English players, with individuals who have been at an affiliated football association club for 3 seasons before their 21st birthday. In City's last campaign in the EPL, the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho, Harry Souttar and Danny Ward were all classed as homegrown players. That's about as clear as mud, isn't it?
That's why it took me a while, because what you think are obviously homegrown players, I went back through, and then players like James Justin can be classed as a homegrown player as well, I think, as well. So, yeah, it's tough going.
Yes, it totally is. As I said to you the other night when I asked you about doing it, why do you think that I do this side of the show and you do that side?
Yeah.
I'll make you earn your money, you little bugger. Right. So we're going to go through the basically we're going to do goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards. So I know that if you go onto the LCFC website, the likes of Mavididi and Fatawu are classed as forwards, but for my purpose, they are not. Forwards are strikers, so they will be in the midfield. So let's start. Now, this is very interesting, and you'll see I'll put different players in different colours, and there is a reason for that. You can't beat the Olympics, Chris. Yes, you can.
Too right.
Delegation, 100%, mate, 100%. But we're going to start, like I said, with the guys. Now, some of them are in different colours, and that's basically to highlight different things. This was probably, I'd say, the easiest one of the 4 areas. Chelsea, thankfully, look like they've gone somewhere else, so they're not going to be taking Hermansen. Let's start with Hermansen, because I don't think we wouldn't have sold him. We learned that surely with Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, we wouldn't have. I don't think we would have sold him if we'd have got a really good offer for him, because there was talk of like mid to late 40 million for him, what Chelsea were talking about. Now, that is an obscene amount of money, particularly in today's transfer market. So if that had honestly been laid on the table, I think we would have thought twice, because I think we would have been able to replace comfortably with that kind of money. So I don't know whether that was just a storm in a teacup that didn't materialise or not. But I like Hermansen. I'm glad he's staying. And also, following on then what happened with Stolicic, it's a good job we've still got him, really.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Stolicic is out until Christmas, is it? December?
Yeah, I think they said at least 6 months. Yeah, maybe 6 months.
Last season, he came from nowhere because he jumped from like 4th, if you like. It was like looking at the pop charts. He jumped from 4 to number 2. Thing is, we said that about Danny Ward, didn't we?
True. We did say that about Danny Ward. I think Stolicic is better than Danny Ward, though, to be honest. I thought he was absolutely incredible last season, and there's not really, apart from the run in the team, of the first team for the league matches, there's not really any difference between him and Hermansen, to be honest. Like, if Hermansen got injured, I would have been more than happy that it was such a great replacement. Because he always looked really sharp, and some of the cup games he kept us in it, didn't he? He really pulled off some amazing saves. So
again, weren't we saying that about Ward when he was in the cup games?
I think Stolicic is more agile than Ward. I do think he's more agile than Ward, but Ward was good at the time. I don't think he's so good now, but at the time he was still, I think, motivated to try and get a place in the team, and he was Wales number 1 still. It was just a bit of a different outfit back then, but now you've got these hungry guys coming through, and it was quite an easy selection, these keepers, really.
Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, I still will, or I'll stick by what I said at the time, which was if we'd had Gordon Banks behind that defence at the start of the relegation season, I don't think we'd have won any more games than we did. That said, it came obvious that he needed to be taken out the limelight. Now, I know you haven't watched any of the pre-season games, fair enough. But I can't remember which of the games it was, but again, his defence didn't seem to have the confidence in him, or he wasn't controlling his area. Because there's a couple of times when I'm thinking, like, is he, isn't he? And, he came for it the same times the defender went for it.
Is this Hermansen, sorry?
Oh, sorry, no, this is Ward, sorry.
Oh, this is Ward, sorry. Yeah, I think that started to become more and more the problem, which happens, doesn't it? He's only human. He's not been playing enough competitively to build any confidence, any sharpness. And I think that then does knock on to the defence in that you don't have total faith because you're kind of wrapping him in cotton wool a little bit because he's not sharp. So it's just kind of it's just a knock-on effect of that happening, really, because you can't stay out the game too long as a keeper.
No. I was so surprised to see Ward being picked. And I know it goes a long way back with the Welsh connection, maybe with Cooper. I was surprised that Everson, because it seems to be now, we're still arching out, it seems to be Hermansen, Ward, Everson in that order. And look, whatever I said about him at the time, I agree with you 100% there, that we've got to try and get rid of him. I mean, he was Rodgers' leaving present, wasn't he? 5-year contract, high wages. I'll bugger you up if you're going to sack me, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whether he will go or not, who knows? He's a very expensive number 3 if he doesn't, and it's Everson that goes out on loan. We were obviously linked with a goalkeeper that Bournemouth were after. I can't remember his name now. Just see if I can get it up. But there was a keeper that we were linked with. Do you think we need, or at any point we would have needed an extra keeper? I mean, we'll have a 5-a-side team of keepers if we're not careful, won't we?
Don't put one in front of goal. Actually, we might need one.
Yes. I can't find it at the moment, but we were linked with a goalkeeper, and I'm thinking, like, surely not. Say that we'd type on type with money, that would have been, to my mind, a waste of money.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably part of the problem why we can't ship him out, because he's on too good a wage. I don't think he'll want to go, even on loan. But he's only 31. You can't quite believe it, to be honest. He's only 31. No. He has got a decent spell left at another club, and he will be being let go next summer, come what may. So whether he just goes into the obscurity of another third-team keeper or he retires, I don't know. I don't really know. It's a real funny one with Ward, but it's funny, isn't it, with keepers, because there's only one position and someone's got to be third choice. You just think the Euros that Danny had with Wales after that 4 years ago, he was brilliant, and you just think you'd want to build on that in some capacity. And he played excellently. We've seen his potential and his capability. It's just a shame he never really wanted to capitalise on it and push it on.
Yes, yeah.
Just from a perspective, but he might not be thinking about that. He's probably thinking this is his last big contract.
Is he end of next season? Is that when it expires? Is it?
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was. I could be wrong, but I thought it was next summer.
I would never tell a woman that they are wrong. I've learned that. I've learned that from 20 odd years of marriage. It's not a good thing to do. I'm just going
to deal with Leicester until 2025.
You got there quicker than me, right?
Yes, no sports, that was a couple of years back. So, yeah.
I think you will, like you say, if we have to keep him and we've got to loan, I mean, we don't need 4 keepers. And I suppose to help us out, I can see Iverson going out on loan because I can't see anybody wanting to pay Ward's wages. So if we're going to be paying his wages and he's on a lot more than Everson, then I think we should probably keep him, even if it is as a very expensive third choice. Just before we move on, Wayne says to Larchik, first cup game last season showed how Ward and Everson were lacking. I liked Stolarczyk, and I liked Everson. I was surprised when he sort of fell down the pecking order. Scott is in. Hi, Scott. Hope you are well. Danny Ward is like Scott Carson for Man City, just collecting the paycheck. Mike Green, who's a Welsh fan. Never mind, Mike. We all got a cross to bear. Danny Ward, he knows I jest. Danny Ward needs to play first-team football for this better of Wales. I don't think Wales fans are too impressed with him, to be honest with you, from what Mike has said before. And that's about strikers, which we'll come on to later, Michael. We've got goalkeepers up there at the moment. That's it. Thank you, Andy. Yvonne
Magogo.
Magogo. Dude, that was a song, wasn't it? That was the one. Thank you very much. I couldn't remember who it was. Place, I think it was for a French second-tier team, but yeah, we don't. I agree with you there. If those were the three that we went into the season with, I would be as happy as I could be with that selection. Now, this was the one that dropped us in it right literally half an hour before we were due to go live. You obviously were busy. I can get hold of you to update it to see which way we're going to go. So we have got a gap here, which we don't have to fill with a defender. But here we go. So these are the ones that you've gone for. You did have Sutar in there. And let's kick off with Sutar. He's gone to Sheffield United. I don't know. What's he done wrong? What has the guy? He's never let us down. I can't remember having a game where he came off, and I don't remember him having a game, to be honest with you, but I can't remember him having a game where he came off and went, oh, it's his bloody fault. You know, he's not scored an own goal like some of our defenders have. Ockley's still settling. He's got an own goal already. I just don't know what he's done wrong.
No, me neither. I've always been, I would not say the word impressed, that's the wrong word, but I have not been unimpressed with him when he's come on the pitch. I think he's been a steady Eddie. His positioning's been really good. I do think he's lacking in pace, and whether that's the issue, whether you just can't carry two defenders in the squad that have the same pace rating on FIFA in Yannick and in Suter. I think the last time I remember properly seeing Suter was away at Brentford in the Premier League, and we were singing him Super Suter because he'd had a really decent game the game before, I think. And he started that game and he did all right. He did fine. I mean, I think we drew at Brentford. And yeah, he did fine. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with him, but I don't think we've seen enough of him to give a proper verdict on him, to be honest. No. And obviously 3 managers have now come in, and plus Dean Smith, who did play him a little bit, who haven't liked him. All 3 managers, very different styles, haven't liked him, and he clearly can't fit into their system. And my heart says that he is a championship defender. Maybe that's the problem, and that's why he's gone to Sheffield United. And good luck to him, because the guy wants to play football and just wants to get some game time. And I wish Danny Ward would see things like that, and a lot of other kind of players. But fair play to him, and I wish him well. But yeah, there's clearly an issue there.
I mean, you could argue that, you know, he does what he does for Australia. I mean, when he goes up, you know, if he gets on the end of a header, he usually puts it in the back of the net for Australia. That is something that Vestergaard can't do, or can't seem to do. I mean, he got a goal last season. It kind of came off his knee, hit his balls, and went in.
Whatever works.
Exactly. But look, I'm sorry to see him go. I would have had him. Well, we'll come to that later, but I would have had him over somebody here. All right, let's go through these. Vestergaard. Look, you know, when I say I like Vestergaard, the thing about Vestergaard for me was that I don't think he deserved the stick that he was getting. I'm not saying he was, you know, primetime John Terry or anything like that, but it was bought. We didn't play a system that suited him, and he never, you know, when he got in, everybody was having a bad season that season, weren't they? You know, last season. Obviously, we've seen what he's got in him. I just don't know whether. I mean, he's been in the Premier League, obviously, with Southampton, but his pace worries me a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I put him in there, to be honest, because he's not in my dream team, but I just know he's going to be there. We've just signed a new 3-year deal. He is going to be there. He gives me the heebie-jeebies at the back, and I genuinely believe I'm quicker. And I used to be a sprinter, so I'm not just saying that. So I just...
That's why you like the Olympics, is it? You see?
Yeah. And it is
Dave's got no chance of catching you then, has he?
I used to do hurdles as well, actually.
Wow. I hated the hurdles.
Oh, I loved it. Great. But yeah, with Vestergaard, like we've said before, you can't train pace. You could have every manager under the sun and you can't train pace. So I've just put him in there because although he genuinely wouldn't be near the starting lineup for me in terms of the starting 11, which we'll come on to, I just think he's going to be there.
Yes, he is. And like you say, he's just signed a new contract. Unless somebody comes in with a ridiculous fee, we're not going to get rid of him. He came on, funnily enough, I think it was the Augsburg game. And as soon as he came, I mean, to be honest with you, the pre-season, some of the games, especially the Augsburg game, it made Enzo Ball look like we were playing at 100 miles an hour. I mean, there is... I have seen quicker walking football games than now. I know the players don't want to get injured, but I didn't realise that we'd entered the walking league, because that's what it looked like. And as soon as Vestergaard came on, he slowed it down even more. And I know that's his job. But when he got the ball, while he was deciding what to do with it, if I had a dog, I could have taken the dog for a walk, come back, and he'd have still been on the ball. But look, he does what he does.
His distribution is excellent. I love that about him. He can really. I love his distribution. He can really pick out a pass.
Yes, yeah. I don't think there's particularly anybody on that list there that's got better distribution than him.
No, me neither.
Now, Faze, whatever you want to talk about him. I'm not impressed with him. I would say, personally, sell him if we could. I really don't think... I think he's... like you say, Vestergaard scares you. He scares me. Yes, he's good occasionally going forward, and he has some amazing... He seems to get Maguire-esque and goes on a long run into the opposition box. But... He does scare me when he's in defensive mode. And I would have quite honestly sooner kept Sutar and let Faze go.
He was one of those players where I had kind of put in a little column, it would be nice to sell if we can, because I think we get a bit of money for him because he's a Belgian international. I don't know how long he's got left on his contract. But yes, I do completely agree with what you said. Again, I've left him in there because I think he's going to be included unless we sell him. But I would happily take, if someone came and offered 15 to 20 million for him, I think I'd take it. Because I'm with you. I think overall he's fairly okay. But when there's a quick transition or a counter-attack that we face, I always find his position really lacking, even though he does have pace. And I find there's just a calamity in him probably once every 5 to 10 games, which we saw in a few games last season. He was all over the place at sometimes, and it just was a car crash to watch. I think it was the Plymouth game. He was just absolutely atrocious. And there's just a bit of lack of taking care with him. I feel like Yannick, particularly last season under Enzo, got to understand his limitations and capabilities a lot better. Whereas I still think Fast goes a bit gung-ho and doesn't respect his restrictions and doesn't discipline himself enough to be able to bring out the best version of himself, if that makes sense. He's always taking a bit of a risk.
Do you think sometimes he thinks he's better than he is?
Yes. Yeah, there's almost like a head's gone moment with him sometimes.
Yeah.
And
yes.
He's like, oh shit, you can almost see it written across his face, like he's not kept the line or he's not spotted the runner. He has similar weaknesses like that to Hamza. I find Hamza's awareness can be quite poor. His peripheral awareness is quite poor, and I think Fass is in the same category. It is better. Fass is better, and he's more central in defence than Hamza usually is. But yeah, I do agree with you. He's got a calamity in him, but again, I think he's going to be here.
And well, he's 2027 is when his contract expires. Interestingly, just to go back, Everson and Ward, their contracts both expired at exactly the same time. So that would be true. But yeah, June the 30th, well, they're all June the 30th, aren't they? 2027 when it expires. Justin, yeah, I mean, come on, we can't not include him. I mean, he was on the well, he was actually playing for England, wasn't he? Then he got injured. He's just so versatile, right, left. We were talking before we came on. If we need, I think he's better on the left. But I think he may be being played on the right more if one of the ones further down in green is kept on. I think we could see Justin on the right, but yeah, hold on to him at all costs.
Yeah, there's not many two-footed footballers that we've got that are comfortable. He's obviously more left-sided. And what I would really like to see more of this year, which Enzo didn't do, is him doing the overlaps. The overlap runs into the box. I love watching him do that because he's quicker than Chilwell used to be. He's got a shot on him as well. We've seen him score from 20 yards before. And I just think he really enjoys that side to his role. And he's got the pace for it. And if, again, there's a quick transition or there's a turn of pace for whatever reason, he can cope with it and he can track back really quickly because he's got the pace. And I just hope for his sake now he's through the worst of his injuries, because it is a massive injury he's had to overcome twice. And with that knocks your confidence. So now I feel like he's had a year of solid fitness and fingers crossed he goes into this Premier League season and just picks it up again, because we know there's an England international in there for sure. And I really like Justin. I think he's you often heard Enzo talk quite fondly of him because I think he's a bit of a manager's favourite as well. He seems a really nice guy, easy to manage and just wants to keep his head down. So we like those kind of guys.
We do. Talking of which, and talking about players being injured and off for a long time, Ricardo. Now, I can remember saying probably 3 seasons ago, I would have liked to have seen Ricardo. This was before when we had trouble filling that right winger. We couldn't replace Mahrez, and a couple of times Ricardo had filled that role. And I'm actually thinking, I thought I was really, really impressed with him. And obviously last season, Enzo played him in that strange role of being midfield if we're going forward, defence if we're going back, which I always think is a little bit out of... I don't like that, because I think, for me, sometimes I think the player themselves can, no disrespect, but all of them can sometimes get a bit confused.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. We saw Hamza try to do it, and you realised how difficult it was because Hamza just couldn't execute it to the same level. But for me, Enzo, his impact on Ricardo, he's one of the biggest impacts on a player that I saw last year, because he brought a leader out of him. He brought a real solid leader out of him. He made him captain on quite a few occasions. And this switching between these positions, I think, really showed what type of player Ricardo is. I think he's absolutely quality. And I wish we had more of his level in the squad. He's up there with Vardy for me in terms of his quality that he brings to the team. He clearly enjoys Leicester. I think he probably was one of the 6 that Enzo needed to talk into staying, understandably so. And I would just love to see him, again, a bit with Justin, but more so with Ricardo. He's got an absolute rocket of a shot. And I'd love to see him in a more forward position and drop him out of that right back position more and pull him more central. But we'll see what Steve Cooper does with him. I don't know what he's done with him in pre-season, really. What has he done in those games?
He's swapped. It's really difficult to say. I mean, for the first time for many, many years, I've sort of reviewed and done watch-alongs for these pre-season games that I've never have done before, and I found myself probably reading too much into them. I mean, look, pre-season, you can be bloody awful and have a fantastic season, or you can win everything that you do pre-season and get relegated. So you can't read too much into it. And sometimes I've looked and thinking, like with Ward, what the hell are you doing, Cooper? You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. Ricardo, I haven't looked at him and thought, no, a bit worried about him. Do you know what I mean? I look at him and he would be in my starting, I have to say. The next one is the one that, and I've got him in blue there because he's a new signing, Ockerley. I knew he's going to do well for the club because he scored an own goal on his debut. What the hell? I
It's absolutely brilliant. It's tell me you play for Leicester without telling me you play for Leicester.
exactly. But again, I haven't seen enough of him. Has he impressed me? No. He hasn't done anything in the pre-season games that I've seen that has impressed me. Has he? And all right, I'm not going to hold that own goal against him. We joke about it, but it happens. When you're a defender, you put yourself in there, at least you go. I mean, how many times, and it annoys me so much when you see a defender defending a shot and he turns his back on it and he turns it side on. I know I'm a fat fucker, but you know, if I'm like that, I fill up more of a gap than if I'm like that. We wouldn't have won the FA Cup if their defender had actually stood like that. So that annoys me with all defenders. But like I say, I haven't really seen enough of it. Hasn't impressed me, but I haven't looked at him and thought, yeah, he's awful. Why have we bought him? But I would question why we've bought him when we've got Sutar, who we've let go.
Yeah, from what I understand from a couple of mates I know went to the Chesterfield fixture against Palermo, and they said he was massive. He's 6'5", way more agile than Yannick. Gets on the end of headers for starters. I don't think from what they said he looked supersonic on the ball, but it's difficult to say after a game. And from what I've read about him, I think he was on loan at a team that got relegated last year, but he really wasn't particularly down to the defence, I don't think. I think it was more they couldn't score goals. And by all accounts, he does like to run out with the ball. He's a guy that likes to put himself about a bit in that sense and likes to be involved in the move. So I'm quite excited about him. He's a young lad. He can score goals with his head. So, yeah, the jury's out, isn't it? We'll just have to see. And it's good that we have got rid of Suter because there's not room for both of them, clearly. And we're just becoming a bit top heavy, aren't we, in that?
We are, or bottom heavy, if you look at it this way. Interestingly, Callum Doyle has gone out on loan again. But this time he's gone to Norwich, indeed.
Yeah,
yes,
I thought he went to Norwich.
Yes, 10 points for the quiz question. I wasn't that impressed with him when he was at Leicester. To be, my son absolutely thought he was brilliant. He was all right. He had a couple of good games, but nothing that I would say, let's break the bank to get him. Some of these players, it's going to be like getting a new signing because we haven't really seen much of them. Cody, it was so great to see him coming out with the captain's armband for a couple of games as well. To me, personally, he's got to be a starter. Whether you can have him and Vestergaard together, I don't know. But to me, maybe he can cover Vestergaard and Vestergaard carries that ball forward. To me, he's got that experience. He's got the what you get with Cody for me that you don't get with FaZe is the leadership, the like marshalling the defense. FaZe is running all over everywhere. He's not there to marshal it. I don't know why. I mean, all right, Vestergaard. Do you pick Vestergaard over Cody if he's always going to pick FaZe? I like Cody, and I think you've done well to say yes, keep him. I was a bit worried he might leave, to be honest with you.
I think this season is his make or break for Leicester. He's signed a permanent deal with us, and he's sat patiently for 1 year. And I think a lot of players probably accept that might happen somewhere along their career where they've got to sit tight for a season and just play a bit part. It was really unfortunate he got the foot injury at the start of last year because I went to the Northampton match pre-season last year and we were so close to the pitch, so close. We were like on row 5 or 6 and there was no distance between us and the goal net really. And you could hear Cody. He is so loud on the pitch. He was barking all the time, which is great to see. I love that. I absolutely love that. So it would be, from what I know, is Akili is fairly pacey, but then, like I said, I'm pacey compared to Yannick. So we'll be seeing a partnership of Cody and Akili.
Yes,
that will be a partnership
Would you? Well, we'll find out later whether you'd start.
I really, really like Cody. I think
Yeah.
that, as you say, he's a leader on the pitch. His temperament's great, and his experience is second to none. And I think a fresh pair of eyes coming in, which Steve Cooper is, it's just too risky to play Yannick in the starting 11. It's so risky against some of these teams that really will hit you on the break, and they'll have your pants down before Yannick's even turned. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of difference in the Prem. In the Championship, I understood it. Why change it if it's not broken? Cody got injured. Yannick came in and did a great job, and there was no reason to change it because he really did stabilise the defence. So, but the Premier League's it's a different beast.
No, I agree that you need. I think you need, if you like, you got your goalkeeper, but you need that commanding voice in that defence, and I think Cody is that. I'd love to see him start. His contract expires June 2026, so he's got 2 seasons with us.
Yeah, he patrols more than Yannick, doesn't he? He patrols much more than Yannick.
Definitely, and he's not got a bad pass on himself either. This one I was surprised that you kept in and didn't put about loaning out, and that's Ben Nelson.
I really am impressed with Ben Nelson. I like him a lot. When he's come in, I genuinely think if he gets more game time, he could be a shoo-in for a start, because I just felt he had everything that we were lacking a bit or were worried about, particularly in the season before with Big Dan. He's just got pace. He's got great positioning. He's quite a mature player for his age. I think he's 22, 23, isn't he? He's quite a mature player. And I really, really like him. And I think it's time we utilise some of this really good youth that we've got.
Yes.
But I personally don't want to loan him out, because I would utilise him more. And you could argue for me, I think he'd go ahead of Fast.
I've got to say, I wouldn't argue with that. I just think if you're going to loan anybody out after Sutar, then it probably would have been Nelson, just to give him a bit of, depending how regular he's going to get used. And that's the thing. I think if you're looking at somebody like Cody that's not being used regularly, it's different. But when you got somebody as young as Nelson, you want to you don't want them just sat there, really, And if we do, I just hope when we do loan these players out that there's always an option to bring them back if we can do. But like I say, he didn't let us down last season. Whether the Premiership is a step too far for him, I would have liked to have seen him get more games last season. But then again, like you say, things aren't broken, don't fix it. So I think there's still something that will happen with Nelson, if I'm honest with you.
Or would it be that Steve Cooper's quite famous for bringing youth through? He's had so much youth work.
Yes.
And he might think, do you know what, this is my little project.
Yes. No, definitely. Now, and if I'm not ignoring everybody's comments, by the way, what we'll do is at the end of the defenders, we'll come and go through everything you've said about the defenders rather than picking it up one comment at a time. Now, I absolutely love this guy. Not to the stalking extreme, but I thought he was a great buy. He's younger. I mean, he's younger than Thomas. You wouldn't believe it. My one complaint, I saw him in the Augsburg game, and every time he ran, what we wanted basically was a left back. I know that Enzo didn't play with left backs, but he was running forward. He was overlapping, the Mavrodidi and whoever else was on that side. But every time he got the ball up to the edge of the box, he wanted to cut inside. And I'm thinking, cross the bloody. That said, I'm not saying there was ever anybody in the box to get on the end of it, and we'll come on to that later, because that was a big failing. But, just cross the bloody thing. But he didn't. He played it back, and then the ball ended up going back to the halfway line. But I think he's got great potential. I thought we were going to see him leave, but I don't think Bologna was that, wasn't it, that they can afford him. But I'm so glad that you've included him in here.
I absolutely love him. I think he's going to be a fan favourite. As soon as he played, the fans loved him, and particularly in the Aston Villa game at Villa Park when we won 4-2. where he was absolutely sensational, and his parents were in the crowd in the tier below us, and he came over and hugged his mum and his sister, I think. And he was in that game. He was a member of the Leicester family, and I never faltered on his effort. I thought every single game he ran his socks off. He did have some errors here and there, but what youngster doesn't? And you can curb that and you can channel it properly. And again, I think Steve Cooper will look at this guy and relish him. I mean, he's just come off an amazing season for Bologna. They've just made the Champions League for the first time in their history. And he's partly responsible for that. I think will have had such an amazing experience at that club last season. What a loan out for him. Yes. And hopefully he can bring some of that back. He'll have learned a bit. He'll have improved a bit. And again, is this just starting to speak volumes of a few of our predecessors who maybe weren't so good with the youth that they were perpetuated to be in the press, like with Brendan and with Enzo. They didn't work wonders with the youth, did they? Exactly. No. But Steve Cooper's got this history and this experience on his CV, and a couple of youngsters there that you could really get your hands into, really, and hopefully bring them on.
If we played Enzo style, Christensen might get left out. That's the only thing. But look, I love him to bits, and I think he for me he'd be a starter because he's got that exuberance of youth, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to hold on to that as long as possible. He's almost fearless. He doesn't care who you are.
Yeah,
I'm going to have a go. He's fairly quick. He loves the overlap. I think his tracking back was questionable, but you learn, you learn to discipline yourself, and he just needed a bit more time and nurturing, I think. And I'm hopeful that Steve might be able to do that. Yeah,
100%. Put a question mark there because we've now got a spare space, a spare base, not easy for me to say now that Sutar's gone, and we haven't really had much time to sort of talk about it. The one that you've left out there, because Sutar's already gone, was Thomas, and I think his time at Leicester is up. I mean, I'm just looking when his actual contract is up.
I think it might be one more year.
2024, it says here. Surely that would have gone.
I think we've had this before, this conversation, and I think we found it was actually 2025.
Was it?
I think that was updated wrong.
Right. Yeah, I mean, his time at again, I've seen him. He was playing Chesterfield, and from what I saw in that game, he was being overrun. Not Chesterfield, sorry, Shrewsbury. When we played Shrewsbury in the first game, Shrewsbury, whatever you want to say. And he was being overrun. And I think even whether it was Matt Elliott, I think, or Jerry Taggart, said exactly the same. And I think if you are getting, as a Premier League player, overrun at that level by a third-tier team, then you've got to question, is he going to fit in? And don't get me wrong, look, we would have been up shit creek without a paddle when he came in that season, because we had nobody else fit to play. And he had the confidence, shouting at Vardy to leave the ball so that he could get it and score a goal against Man United. But I just think he's found his level. I don't think the Sheffield United experience would have done him any good because of it was a battering week in, week out, wasn't it? Let's be honest with you. And I feel sorry for him for that. That won't have done his confidence any good. Went to Middlesbrough. They've not kind of asked for him back, have they? So I think he's one of those that maybe has to drop, even maybe to the third tier, to try and make a comeback. But I don't think his future's at Leicester, definitely.
No, me neither. He's one of those players where the fans were just willing him to do better and willing him to do well. And like you say, he absolutely filled that gap when we needed him. God, we were so short. You can't really imagine it now. We were so short in that position, and that whole defence was just on its bare bones. And for a period, he did come in and really hold his own. And then I think after a while, the physicality of the league, because he's a slight lad, it just overpowered him a bit. And I do feel like almost irrevocably, it really knocked his confidence. I'm not sure he ever recovered it. And obviously, going then to Sheffield United, where they did get battered week in, week out, was not good for him. But yeah, I think he has found his level. I feel like we would need to let him go if we can. He's on a few mil a year as well. So it would be great for him and us, because he's done us proud, he's done us well, and he would love nothing more, I think, than to have a career with us. But it's time to go.
I think you are totally right there. Right, having done the defence, let's have a look at what we're looking at here on the defence. Scott says here, is Sutar just not versatile enough? He really can only play centre-back, and that's why he fell down the pecking order. Oh, don't know what your thoughts on that?
I don't know where else we'd want him to play, really.
No. I mean, you've got a couple of utilities. Hamza, one of them, obviously. Ricardo, there's a centre back. Yeah, I mean that's his role, isn't it?
Yeah, that's his role. Maybe he's not quite as dynamic as we want him to be, but like we say, maybe because him and Yannick are just so similar, really.
Yeah. Scott says, "Careful, Chris. Anyone would think he's the Achilles heel." Phase. I think he is. I'm going to say, I'm sorry, Scott. Look, it's all about opinions. I don't know there whether you're agreeing with me or not agreeing with me. But from like I say, I didn't like Doyle. My son loved him. I liked Chilwell a lot of fans didn't. But there we go. FaZe has the attention of a teenager on speed. Now, Wade. Do you think Justin's confidence or been coaching to being more careful? It's like Enzo drew a line on the pitch and told him not to cross it.
Yeah, I got that feeling. He was a bit like, oh, and I think even when he scored that worldie, he said, the boss isn't going to like that I did that.
Yes.
Which was a very interesting comment. And I'm like, he just scored an absolute worldie from not the most high up position on the pitch. He was fairly high. He was fairly far out. So I do think there was a bit of that.
Although you've also got to think, like you say, sometimes you've got that exuberance of youth, and as players get older, they lose that. And they do become more probably reserved, but more like, yes, all right, I don't want you to keep going up because you're going up too much and you're exposing us at the back.
Yeah, and I think for Justin, there's so much involved in there from a sports psychologist perspective. These injuries were 20 years ago. Both these injuries were career-ending. A ruptured Achilles and an ACL in the space of 18 months, which obviously are related to each other because Ricardo did exactly the same. And you do mentally, that's got to hurt, that's got to impact you. You've had the best part of 2 years sat on the sidelines, and particularly because both injuries in particular were so innocuous. It wasn't like it was a bad tackle or like I think he just scored against, was it Newport in the cup or someone like that, and he just sat down on the floor looking like he was tying his shoelaces, and he was like, no, I need to come off. And that was his ruptured Achilles. He was just walking around and it went. So that does make you more cautious, doesn't it? And enter the match with trepidation. But I think, as I said, each match that happened last year, a bit more of that caution was thrown to the wind, and he just needs more and more game time and to really go for it. I don't think we've properly seen Justin, put the burners on yet.
And in fairness, Enzo did play a very cautious game.
Yeah, he played a very cautious game. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wayne said it's frustrating we can't sell surplus players like Sutar and recoup money and rebalance the wages fiasco. Problem is, Wayne, and I don't know what your thoughts on this, Kate, but we've had to pay these sort of wages to get these players in. Because although, yes, we've won the Premier League, but that was 10 years ago. Yes, we were trying to we went for that dream, didn't we? We chased that dream. And we'd lost money on the likes of Slimani and Tielemans, but to get these players in, and again, please don't anybody start off on the Rudkin banner. He works within his remit from Top, but Top's authorising these high wages, because if we don't, Leicester are not a club that people are going to go, yeah, I must go and play for Leicester. We're still not Man United or Chelsea.
Argument. I get sick of the wages argument. There's so many people that say, well, we were the 7th highest wage bill and we got, well, yeah, because we were 8th, but we were 8th, 5th and 5th in the 3 previous seasons. So it kind of figures that we'd have the 7th highest wage bill. Like you say, to maintain in the Premier League, it's costly each year to just maintain your position. And the problem with the current set of rules is if you make 1 or 2 bad signings, or the flip side, you can't stick to your model of selling your one big player each year, which was arguably Yuri.
Yeah.
Then it screws up the model and it's so difficult to claw yourself back out of it, because if we'd had 40 million in for Yuri or 50 million at the time, it completely transforms everything. His wages are off the bill. We could have got a couple more players in who actually wanted to play for us and would try a bit sometimes. The model it's like a stack of cards, isn't it? It's like a house of cards. You move one thing and the whole thing falls over. And I feel like that's what's happened. What the Premier League rules don't allow for at the minute is a Leicester City, which is really interesting. It doesn't allow a club to be more successful beyond its means and have a tough time a bit afterwards while they adjust, because you can get relegated. And that's what happened. And
the thing is, people will argue,
got these players down in the Championship. Well, of course we're going to blow FFP out the window.
Yeah,
of course we are, because it's not factored in to have an erroneous season or a season where it doesn't quite go right. It doesn't allow. There's no flexibility within it at all.
Yes. And Wayne just wants to agree with you about Ricardo and Justin's double injuries. And I think as well, on the flip side, had we not gone for it and had we not chased that dream, we'd have had people moaning like, we should have been doing this. We should have followed this up. And why aren't we buying these players? Why aren't we buying those players? You don't know when you buy players whether they're going to work or not. Some of them fantastic. Some of them not so.
And similar with managers, Like Brendan had such a good CV, he had such a good reputation, and now look at it. And I think if we could rewind the clock, and I say this a lot, if I could rewind the clock and we really wanted to behave like a top 6 club, we should have sacked Brendan after the first season of coming 5th because he failed in his objective. Yeah,
no, good point. I thought for a minute there you were going to say we should have kept well. Right, moving on to midfielders here. As if by magic, there they come up. An interesting.
Explain your colouring to me, please. I don't think I've had an explanation.
The blue ones, the light blues ones are the new signings. Yeah, you worked that out. The light greens are ones that I want to question you about.
Okay.
And the pink ones are your choices that you've added into your dream.
Yeah.
25th.
Yeah, right.
Let's speed things up a little bit. Otherwise, I think we'll be doing this at midnight. Yeah. So we'll get the thing. So looking at this, I mean, pretty much Chowdhury, Ndidi, Mavididi, Fatawu, Winks. Let's do that as one. They are still always going to be in, weren't they?
Yeah. And I think, I know people were a bit sad about KDH going, as was I, for lots of reasons. But I do think, personally, we're lucky to keep hold of Winks this transfer window.
Yes, yeah. And I think, everybody was saying, well, he's not going to go. He said he's not going to go. And I said from the get-go, if we need the money, and we were sort of 40-odd million pounds out of pocket, and we got 30 for him and 10 for Enzo. It balanced the books. And sometimes, like you say, it had to be done. It does have to be done.
But I do think there's also, if KDH didn't want to go, he wouldn't have gone.
No. And I think as well, had it not been one of the big 6 that came in for him, and of course he'd worked with Enzo the season before, so we
all gelled together. But if he didn't want to go, he wouldn't have gone, because he didn't go to Brighton, and if that had been the only offer on the table, he wouldn't have gone.
No. Who knows where we would have been financially? But look, he's gone. He's gone, and good luck to him. I don't wish him any harm whatsoever. I still hope Fofana breaks his leg again, but I don't wish.
Question.
Chowdhury, very, very quickly. I love Chowdhury. I'm glad. I think Brendan treated him like shit. He came off that Liverpool game when he was, pointing at him and doing all that to him after the match and what have you. And then he sent him out. We never saw him again after that game, and he loaned him out for a season. I think if you are defending a 1-0 with about 10 minutes to go, or you need that bit of bite in midfield, I'm not sure about him anywhere near the defence, but in midfield, I think he is certainly a squad player.
Absolutely, I agree. And he's actually, for me, a bit of a utility player. I want him nowhere near the back line. And I think we really dropped points when we had him in place of Ricardo in that important inverted right back role. I think it was stupid, quite frankly. It never works because he couldn't do it. He shows what a difficult job it is. That's not necessarily disrespectful to him. It's how difficult that job was. And that was the whole almost linchpin. That position and wings was the linchpin of Enzo's system working. But for Chowdhury, he's a utility player for me. I think, to be honest, I completely agree. Is the bite in midfield when you want it. I love a hard man. Everyone loves a hard man. And Hamza gets so stuck in. It's great. But I also quite like him almost in a number 8 role sometimes. I think sometimes going forward, because he's quick, it can just give you options. What are you laughing at? What's happening?
You don't know what you said, do you?
What did I say?
You like a hard man.
You're like innuendo bingo, you are.
I'm sorry. How could you not?
Anyway, we all do, so shush.
I'm not particularly.
But yeah, I quite like him in an 8 role because I think he's fast. He can offer options going forward. And you need to get over yourself.
I've got no drink left either. Right. That said, he did do the perfect 3 clearances in that West Brom game. Now, Cordova-Reid. Now, I did a whole show about this guy. I don't think it was with yourself. I think it was actually with Luke. Do you remember? I mean, this might have been your Newcastle years. I don't know. But when we had Les Ferdinand and Martin Keown, we had all the. We were the Derby and Jones Football Club of the Championship. We were signing all these ex-players, and they couldn't play. They couldn't play on Thursdays because they had to be down the post office to get the pensions. That's how old they all were. And I'm thinking, Cordova-Reid, if the club that you are playing for only wants to give you a 2-year contract, and he's 31, so we come along and go, I'm going to give you a 3-year contract. That makes me ask a question. However, the one player that impressed me against Augsburg was Cordova-Reid. My God. I mean, I want to be really careful with this because this happened with Ryan Bertrand. He had a great pre-season game and then we never saw him again. He was all over the place. One time he got the ball right up to the byline and crossed it, and Daka was nowhere to be seen. Absolutely nowhere to be seen.
Still chasing shadows halfway up the pitch, that's why.
Yeah, and it just, when the goalkeeper just went, thank you very much, and picked it up. Like we said about Winks is all over the place. It's the same with this guy. Whether he can replace Fatawu on that right wing or not, I don't know. But playing off the striker, oh my God,
You've frozen a bit.
I had to take it on. But if you're watching Mr. Castuya profusely, because you really, really did impress me in that match.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm really excited about him. He's one of the few players. I mean, when was the last time? Save for Yannick and Ryan Bertrand, because that's a bit different. But when was the last time we bought an attacking player with Premier League experience? Proper Premier League experience. I just think that's really exciting. He's played for Fulham. He knows what the Premier League's about. He's coming straight back into the Premier League again. People are saying he's old age at 31. I mean, give your head a wobble. He's 31 years old. He's got a good at least 3 or 4 years, 6 if he's Jamie Vardy. He's one of our most exciting signings to date at the minute.
I mean, everybody's through this because I'm the one that's wobbling my head, because I thought, if he was that good, why aren't Fulham offering him a 3-year contract? That said, the Fulham fan that I approached for comments for that show was really spoke highly of him. Couldn't get my words out then. Spoke very highly of him. Again, utility player, can play a few roles. My stats haven't been that good for Fulham, but then let's be honest with you, Fulham mid-table team. But no, I don't get me wrong. I want him to prove me wrong. Mention Vardy to me later because I want to come back onto that point you made about Vardy as well. McAteer, you've kept him, and I agree totally. I don't think he got the chances he deserved. Scored a goal in pre-season. I don't think we used him enough last season.
No, and I think he had an amazing start to the season, and then I think it was the Blackburn game where he came off with that hamstring injury, and I genuinely don't believe he properly recovered from that. I think we rushed him back a bit because we were a bit desperate, and we were desperate for options around that sort of area, and he didn't look like the same player after that injury, and we didn't use him enough. He's one of those players, I think, that does need a good run of games and minutes, and he wasn't really getting much more than 15, 20 minutes at a time after that sort of injury period at the start of the calendar year. So, yeah, I really like McAteer. I think he's great, and I think he's had a good, solid pre-season, which it sounds like he has properly got rid of that injury and rested and recovered. Then it could be a really exciting season for him. He really reminds me of Steve McManaman when he's on the ball. I don't know why, but he's got that similar sort of, I'm just going to run at you.
That gait he's got, hasn't he? Yes, yeah, no, definitely.
He's that kind of player for me. And you can't really deal with people. People can't really deal with people running at them. You either foul them or they're past you. And that's what I like about him.
Yeah. Interestingly, doing a programme tomorrow, 7:00 with Ant from Ant's Leicester Fan Channel. Should we be worried? Looking at the pre-season so far, which hasn't been, hasn't set me alight. Like I say, it made Enzo Ball look quick. That said, I can't say that there's no player who's actually, I've looked at him and gone, oh, you bloody rubbish, you. There's no player that I've looked at and gone, yeah, glad we, But Cordova, Reed and McAteer are probably, they have stood out more than a lot of the others. And I think the problem is it's going to be difficult because we had such a good season last season that it's almost like, well, carry on, but it's a different season now, isn't it? Different manager, different tactics. And we say, well, look, last season you were getting 10 every week. I want to see a 12 off you now. But look, that's the way it is. A couple of players here, though, that you've put into your Dream 25. One quite early, one very last minute. The other, I suppose, if Ben Nelson is a half Nelson, this is the other half. See what I did there? Wrestling term, half Nelson.
Yeah, I did.
Why do I? But you see, clean, and it doesn't get any response. No, I mean, I'd love to get him again. Melina, who is an Arsenal fan, good friend of the channel, speaks very highly of him. I loved for once being able to do a picture of an Arsenal player in a Leicester shirt before we signed him, because it's usually the other way round. So I got my own back. I'd love to get him. Wonder whether we will or not.
Yeah, this is one of my wish lists, really. I think he's got a really good pedigree. He's an exciting young player. I'm not sure. The news has gone a little bit quiet on him in this past 4 or 5 days. You seem to think that he declined us, but I hadn't read that anywhere. I was reading more so that money might be an issue. But yeah, he was one of my wish lists that I think is realistic, really. But whether we can get anything like that over the line, I don't know.
Interesting. And now this one, I've absolutely you sort of pulled this one out of the filing cabinet, didn't you?
Yeah, I was doing a bit of reading because I wanted a number 8 or that kind of central midfielder to replace KDH, and I was doing a bit of reading about some of the news stories that have been in and around when KDH left, and this guy was in the mix, and I had a bit of a look, and yeah, he's currently playing for that Belgium side. Is it Union or something. Is it Union SG? Yeah. And I think they might have just got into the Champions League. But he's basically on the lookout. He's ready to leave, I think. And there's been rumours about him. I was going to go for that Norwich guy, Gabriel Sara, is it? The Norwich attacking midfielder. But I think I've just seen that he's just signed for, I want to say, Seville. So he was out the window. He worked with Cooper before. Galatasaray, sorry, he's gone to. So I think he's worked with Cooper before, this Gabriel Sara. So he was going to be my choice, but he moved yesterday again. Late addition to the team. So yeah, this Cameron Puertas is again a nice to have dream reality. I think you'd be interested to see what the guys in the comments say about who realistically would be a good replacement for KDH, because a lot of the players that we're linked with, quite frankly, I would never even think of, and sometimes I've never even heard of. So it's a really tough one.
It is.
Obviously, if KDB wants to come to us, I'm up for that. If we can get to the point now. If he's rumoured about wanting to leave Man City for the Arabic world, I'm happy to be his last port of call before he goes over to Qatar.
We can afford him. Yeah, we need that. And in fairness to Steve Cooper, he has said so many times after virtually every game, we need that attacking midfielder, and we do. We need a replacement for KDH. Carvalho from Liverpool is being linked with us. Apparently, I'm just looking here on Transfer Market, and he's got a 30% chance of coming to us. I don't know how they work all this out, to be honest with you. But he is one of the ones that we're talking to. I'm hoping to do a show in the next few days with Doug, the Liverpool fan, and Dan, the Burnley fan, which I'll come on to in a second, about how good they are. I mean, in fairness, Doug actually put on. I can't find him, but he did put on my Facebook post. He thinks he'd be a very good signing for Leicester, so that's a possibility. But let's just have a look at what people have been saying. There we go. So Wayne, good point, Kate, about Ricardo and Justin. Here we go. Lowering the tone, Chris, always. I don't know anybody. I set myself a very low bar and I failed to come up to it. Could overread, quality, clever player who can go both ways. Saying nothing. It's you lot, not me. McAteer Ditto will get some game time. Unleash Alves. I mean, the likes of Alves and Baybrook, they're under 21, like we said at the start, so they are automatically, they can be used. They don't have to be included in this. Matt O'Reilly, he's been linked with, is it Chelsea? No, he hasn't been linked with Chelsea. He's been linked with a couple of clubs that could blow us out of the water.
Who's he playing for at the moment?
Celtic.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
There's him and there's the Chinese gentleman or Japanese gentleman or Korean and Hatato or something, I think. But both of them very good. He might be the better one to go for more than O'Reilly, but we will wait and see. One, of course, that you've left off there, and I've got to say I'm disappointed in him, Sumare. Again, I felt sorry for him when we signed him because Brendan suddenly said he wanted this box-to-box midfielder. Well, if you wanted a box-to-box midfielder, why didn't you buy one? But he didn't. He bought some more.
What was Dewsbury Hall?
Well, yes. But you know what it was like towards the end of his reign. Sumare, yes. He was.
That's just Sudoku, that was.
Yes. That is so true. But I've been very disappointed in him. And in the pre-season, he's done nothing that I've seen in these pre-season games that said, we should keep him.
Yeah, same. I think he's a poor man's Ndidi. I think at times he has few moments where you're like, wow, he can cover some ground. He's really fast. And when he puts his mind to it, he can look a real player. I think there's a player in there for sure, but I don't think we'll get it out of him. I really don't think we will. He looked so lackluster and demotivated during the Premier League season with Brendan. Like, if that doesn't get you motivated and get you going, I'm not sure what will. And interestingly, I think if we were going the other way and getting relegated, I'd probably argue that he might be a decent player to keep and have the physicality for the Championship. But we loaned him out for that. So getting promoted back to the Premier League, we've seen what he can do. He's tried and tested in the Premier League and he just didn't cut it. Plus, he had this personal issue, which was rumoured to be homesickness or whatever. There's clearly perhaps some personal issues with the lad, which is awful. And that might undermine his play as well. So he's just not for us. I don't think he's ever really fitted in. And if we can sell him, it would be great, or loan him out again.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I really wanted him to. Well, look, we want all the signings to do really well. Whoever puts on that blue shirt, we want them to do really well. And he's had a couple of moments, but those moments just haven't been. They've been few and far between, unfortunately. Ronald is in. Hi, Ronald. How you doing? Hello, everyone. Just got back home from work. Nice to see Kate again. I'll have to watch the stream from the start later on. She just talk a lot of sense. Takes her 300 words, which is 100 more than I. But there we go. Play the youth, says Joe. Sumare doing laps of Braggy Park on match days, please. Anyone else ever dream about Braggy?
I was at Braggy Park a couple of days ago, actually.
That takes me back. I mean, I've not been in Leicester since I was 21 to live. And it used to be a staple for us all as kids, I think, didn't it? Or even adults, Samari does have a playing in him, but he's actually. But look, there we go. Okay, let's move on to the last bit, which is forwards. Now, this is interesting because Vardy. Let's start with Vardy. He's the obvious one. He's going to be there next season. We've got him. Everybody, when I was saying about Dakova Reed, well, we've signed Vardy for another season. You've given him a 1-year contract. Would you sign Jamie Vardy, though, if it was based on his last 3 years? I would tend to say no.
I would say yes.
Has he really done anything in the last 3 years? Yes, he's scored goals, don't get me wrong, but that's his job. At the end of the day, he's had bad games. He's becoming a sick note. He's 37. He got a knock in the Seville. Was it Seville? We played the first behind closed doors friendly, and we've not seen him since. Now, if that's just for a knock, if he was to get anything serious, he'd be out for the rest of the season. Don't get me wrong. If he walked in here now, like I say many times, I'd have his babies. But
if he walked in right now, he'd punch you in the face for what you're saying about him.
Well, exactly.
You won't want you to have his babies.
But look, we know what he is. We love him to bits. But yes, I think this is his last season. Maybe we can win the League Cup or something, can go out with a bang for him. But look, I'm 63 now, and I know if I cut my finger, it takes me 6 times as long for it to heal as it did when I was 18. And that's the same with Vardy. The Vardy where he didn't get injured for the whole of the, Premier League winning season, and he kept going into that freezer tank. That Vardy has gone. Yes, we could keep him. Yes, we should have him in. But his sickness record does scare me. And that would then lead me on to who've we got to replace him.
Well, this is the whole bloody problem. We've had this problem for 5 years where we haven't been able to recruit. I mean, it feels like forever that we've had Iheanacho, and forever he has been the second-rate player. Like, I don't know whether other fans feel like this, but that upfront selection and offering feels so stagnant. It feels so stagnant. And, you know, you can't beat time, or whatever the saying is. You can't, time stands still for no man. So there will be probably this time next year where we will not have Vardy. That will be taken away from us. And we need to have something in the firing line, because every single replacement that we've tried to bring in has failed miserably, and that is the problem, and that is why we are fighting hard to keep him. And if even that's in a bit part of fashion, he was a bit part last year and he was like 6th top scorer with 16 goals. That's incredible. So he's got goals in him still. I think he looks after his body. They're very tight-lipped about this injury, which always worries me. But Cooper did say he thought he might be back for Augsburg, if not, hopefully, Lens. So I don't know what's going on there. And he's not done anything on social media for a while either, since that goal he scored in pre-season. So yeah, he's always, for me, Jamie Vardy has absolutely earned the right to decide when Jamie Vardy has had enough and can't do Premier League football anymore. And I just fully respect him and trust him. And he would never put a lame horse out in himself. I don't think. He thinks he's still got something to give, and I fully trust that.
And I would totally have him in my 25-man squad, 100%. But like I say, it does then knock on his like I say, his recovery from illness now means that we need to have people in there that can cover for him. And look, I've put Carvalho up there. He should have been probably more in the sort of midfield section, but I've stuck him in there from Liverpool. But I think he can play forward as well, so that could be an option. With Vardy, do we have the Mahrez problem? Is that whoever we bring in, look, when we got rid of Mahrez, whoever we brought in was rubbish compared, because he was getting compared to Mahrez, or they were getting compared to Mahrez, he's no Mahrez him, and he can't do that. And it took us, I think, only now with Fatawu have we actually accepted that we've probably got somebody that's as good. And that's the problem with Vardy, isn't it? Who do you get? That Daka, very similar to Vardy. Iheanacho, very similar to Vardy. Are we buying the wrong strikers? Iheanacho is not a one-up front striker.
And for me, absolutely, when we signed him, I was like, he's going to be shit. He's not going to be anywhere near Vardy. Because why would Man City let that go after trying and trying and trying with him? Yeah. He's not got it. Not got it for the Premier League. He's not got it for the Premier League. His attention span was slight. His concentration wasn't brilliant. He, for me, doesn't hold the ball up that well, and he misses chances. And we've kind of almost signed a less equipped version in Daka. And now with Cannon, I don't know what is going on there. I muted the other day on a WhatsApp group that I'm on with Cannon, that I feel like, have we been sold a lame horse here? Because it's interesting now that this is the second manager that's not really playing him at all. And he signed with this stress fracture in his back, and he's not really played a lot of football since. And I'm thinking, is this a chronic problem that we bought with a guy who's very injured and can't play long minutes? I don't know. That's just the only obvious thing I can think of why constantly being left out. But yeah, Vardy, the problem we've got with Vardy and Mahrez is they're arguably the two best players we've had in our history, plus Kante. So anybody's going to look rubbish, aren't they? Anybody's going to. It's such big shoes to fill. But
Exactly.
We've not lost Vardy. It's one more year, but it's not going to be anywhere near. If we get 50% of game time out of him, that's as much as it will be. But it's so hard to recruit because there's not a lot of traditional number 9s anymore either.
No. And I agree. See, to me, again, Cannon, if he was going to, and I know we've had a change of manager and that always throws everything up into the air, but for me, Cannon should have had more time last season. And look, I know Daka's Daka, and everybody know I wasn't saying that Daka was sort of say prime Messi. What used to annoy me with Daka was that people would complain about him when they wouldn't complain about Vardy when he'd had the bad game against Bristol City, and he'd missed 3 sitters. nobody was saying anything about, oh, it was Vardy, so don't matter. No, we can't say anything bad about Vardy. But Daka was getting it week in, week out. I agree. That was the thing that annoyed me, that, if we're going to criticise a player, let's criticise everybody equally. That said, he should have been taken out of the firing line, no pun intended, a lot earlier. Well, he wasn't really at all, was he? And, I remember that Plymouth game, him looking on that, and he was taken off and sat on that bench. I thought the ready guy was looking for the number for the Samaritans on his mobile phone. And, he should have been taken out, and Cannon should have been coming in, which would have made him more ready for this season in the Premier League, because I don't know whether he's Premier League ready.
Yeah, well, I don't think he is either, which is just what makes me think, what else can be the problem? And the only thing I can think of is that we've been sold a wrong in it, and he's got a really bad chronic injury problem. But with Vardy and Daka, I know what you're saying. Vardy missed some sitters last year, and he did get stick from the crowd for it. But having said that, he is given more of a bye because of the quality that we know Vardy does possess. I cannot say the same sentence about Patson Daka. I have not seen any quality that he possesses. Every single time he falls short, whereas Vardy doesn't fall short every single time at all. And that's the problem with Daka. Vardy's hit those highs. Vardy's scored those belting goals. Yeah, he was probably a younger man, and age obviously creeps in, but he's given the bye because he is of what he has done and produced in the past. Daka hasn't done any of that. He's not got a history of, oh my God, yeah, he pulled us out of this thing and he scored this amazing goal. Can you honestly think, apart from the European match when he got 4, can you honestly think of a Patson Daka amazing performance?
I agree. I agree 100% with that. But it's about the here and now. If we're keeping players because of what they did in the past, Gary Lineker should be starting every week. Or Alan Young should be put out in his wheelchair. Although we said that.
But Vardy still offers something, and I don't think Daka even is anywhere. Even looking at them both equally now, ignore the history. Even looking at them both equally now, you'd definitely rather have Vardy in your squad, in your team, definitely. Even for his tenacity at chasing the ball or throwing a tackle in or getting in the defender's ear, Daka is literally chasing the floodlight shadows around the park sometimes.
I'm having played devil's advocate now, I'm now actually going to come on side and go, I agree with you 100%. I could not believe that he has been starting all the pre-season friendlies.
Yeah, because Nacho offered that. Nacho did offer, he chased, he could play crosses in.
That one move where Clover-Reed, honestly, he was like primetime Messi, got to the byline, but put it in. Had Daka been in the box, it would have been a tap-in.
Yeah.
But he was nowhere to be seen. And yes, I agree.
He scrambled to get there because he reads the game. And what I've seen of Cannon also offers that as well. He's very Nugent-like, Cannon. His movement's like Nugent, actually. And we've seen a few goals that he's scored. He's definitely got, his shooting boots on, and he has some good efforts at goal. I'm just racking my brains here why this young lad with a good pedigree again from Everton, for the second manager now, isn't being given a shot. And I don't understand it, because he would be absolutely my choice. If Vardy's out, Cannon is absolutely my choice, but I just don't think it will happen.
Yeah, no, 100%. Carvalho, we've already mentioned him in the squad in whatever position. I 100% agree. Honestly, this is going to have to stop. We are agreeing with each other. I'm agreeing with you too much here. You're rubbing off on me, which is a scary thought, but there you go. Especially with the restraining order I've got against you.
Yeah.
Will you please stop it? But look, Schmodix, yes, 125,000%. Why are we not going for this lad? Ipswich are going for him, apparently. Why aren't we? If he can do that at Blackburn, a team that, let's be honest with you, was it bottom 5 or something last season in the Championship?
Yeah.
Put us to the sword on the last day, so they could stay up. What the hell are we doing? Surely this guy would be a shoo-in for us.
Yeah, it's a bit of an age-old problem with Leicester, isn't it? There seems to be a frequent occurrence where there's a carrot dangled, a player that would absolutely suit us, that's not beyond the budget, there isn't some superstar. We're not trying to buy Lionel Messi here, where they've got a good history, good age, his prime age at the moment, and we just seem to back off and not pay the extra couple of million. And I feel like it's a bit of a repeat story with Leicester. And my personal view is, if you're going to blitz the FFP, just do it with bells on and just buy the bugger.
Yes.
But I would absolutely love him. Again, it's a nice to have. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Ipswich. Ipswich is an interesting one because they were very limited on spending last year because of their own restrictions. So now
it's gone quiet again, hasn't it? Him going.
Yeah, it's gone quiet again. Yeah. So I'd just love, I'd love us to get somebody like that. You know, someone who's not a household name, because he probably isn't to those outside of the Championship particularly, but you know, a real excellent player with a great goal scoring record in an English league. It would just be really exciting, and we've not signed one of them forever.
Do you think it's a bit like O'Hare, though? Excuse me, from Coventry. All right, not everybody's favourite player because of where he's come from, but, you know, again, he was available on a free. He wouldn't have had to move. You know, to me, personally, I think could he have been the KDH replacement?
Yeah, he really could have done. I was quite disappointed about that, and seeing that he's gone to Sheffield United has blown my brain upside down, to be honest. I don't know what's gone on there. Like, he must have had other Premier League offers. Like, his stock's really high at the moment, and we'd have been able to afford him. I don't know what's happened there.
No, I think, like you say, wages shouldn't have been a problem because he was on a free. He was heavily linked with us. Whether we looked at him and there was just something we didn't like about him, but I cannot believe we've not gone for him. But no, look, he's gone.
Well, we don't know, do we? There's a lot of rumours. There's a lot of. The problem is there's so many people involved in a transfer. You've got our side of things, and we'll have our own restrictions and wishes of what a player's contract should look like. You've got the player wanting a contract. You've got an agent involved, and you've got to agree with the club or whatever. I know he's going to be on a free, but it's so complicated. And who's to say he just didn't want to come because he doesn't like Leicester?
Possibly, yeah.
You don't know, do you?
No.
We just always assume that it's us that haven't gone in, whereas in actual fact, Leicester are always famously quiet about their transfer business until they are goddamn good and ready to announce it.
Oh, God, how long did it take to announce Fatawu, you know? But
to be fair, it was brilliant, though.
Yes, yeah. The other one I wanted to quickly mention on this section was Fofana from Chelsea.
Yes, I saw that yesterday, actually. Yeah.
And John's mentioned him in the chat as well. Now he's come from Norway, but he's got dual citizenship or whatever. He was on loan though at Burnley last season, and I don't remember him. You know, we've got to be careful. We're not saying, "Oh, he's come from Chelsea, so he must be good because it's a top six side." I'm going to actually be having a chat with Dan from Turf Moorhouse TV. It'll be a pre-record for a live show, but his section will be pre-recorded. And hopefully he'll tell us about him, what he thought about him. But I just... And the thing is with Chelsea, if he's coming from Chelsea, you know that they just can't keep many people in the team, can they? They've just got too many players to keep happy.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to know, isn't it? Because Chelsea have signed some absolute dross, which is why they've been in kind of mid-table obscurity for the past couple of seasons. And they just managed to pull a few results together in the latter half of last season to get the European spot and then sack their manager. So go figure that one. Chelsea are so inexplicably fucked, excuse my French. It baffles everybody associated with the club. Nothing they do makes sense. But they do have the odd gems, you know, like Loftus-Cheek, players like this that are really good and deserve game time, and so many choose to sit on the bench, probably because of the money, but probably for the hope that their home club might play them one day. And I think there's a lot of players at Chelsea that are in that position, and you've just got to make sure you pick the right one.
We do indeed. We do. Right, we're not going to look at the free agents. I'm going to leave that out because of time. Niall, thanks very much for coming in. Thanks for your nice comments. We've already discussed Matt O'Reilly earlier, mate. So I'm not going to go over that. I just want to try and see that if this works or not. I'm not sure if I make it any bigger. Can you see that okay, Kate?
Yeah, that's okay. I can see.
Okay, so Kate Stream 11.
Oh gosh, yeah. What about this bit?
It won't let me change the formation for some reason.
Okay.
But I think we can do it once we put people in the positions. I think we can. So we'll take the formation away. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. What does that do? Absolutely nothing. What does that do? Okay. All right. So look, starting in goal, and we won't do what Luke did and not have a goalkeeper. I think we should have one. I think he's going to be Hermansen.
Stay up.
Sorry?
We might stay up.
Yeah. You never know. You never know. So we're going to have Madsen. I guess he's going to be your first choice, isn't he?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Okay, so there we go. He's going to go in goal. How many are we going for at the back?
I'm going to go for 4.
You're going to go for the 4. Right, okay. So starting on the left, who are we going to have at left back?
I'm going to have... Oh, God. I just need to get this sorted in my head now because you did spring this on me.
I did. You love me really, though.
Okay, so on the left, I'm going to have Christensen.
Hey. Oh, I can. Oh yes. T-E-N. Now you can check my spelling.
No, it's T-I is Christiansen. I-A-N.
There we go. Thank you. There we go. There's gonna be a lot of that, I'll tell you. Right, who are we going for?
Wait till we get to Modric. It's like a hangman. It's a great high score on Scrabble, though, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Right, so then who we got next? The centre back.
There was an accident outside my house earlier, and it was a Scrabble delivery van. It had crashed, and all the gear had gone all over everywhere. I went outside and said, "Hey, what's the word on the street?"
Dickhead. D-I-C-K-H.
No.
Right. Centre backs then, yeah?
Yes. So right back now.
Sorry. Cody and Akili.
So, you've gone there. You've jumped over me. Okay. So Cody.
Yeah, man. Is it Caleb?
I've spelled it right. I just maybe he's
Coley,
not.
It's a Coley. O-L-I.
There we go. Okay, and then on the right of defence.
I'm going JJ.
This is looking interesting. Right. Okay.
Until we get hammered 5-0.
You'll be sacked.
Right, then we're going to have... Are we starting on the left?
Yeah.
The left then is Mavadidi.
Are you having 3 in the... Or how many are you having in the...
I'm going to have... Oh, God. Yeah, put Mavadini. I'll just do 4-4-2. It'll be easier, I think.
Okay, then. Okay.
It won't be 2 strikers necessarily. Mavadidi, then Winks, and then Ndidi.
I mean, to be honest with you, they move around a lot, don't they, anyway? So, yeah. And then we know that Mavadidi will probably come a bit more forward, won't he, like that?
And then
on the right,
yeah, Pataru.
Pataru.
Running down the wing. Hear the Leicester sing.
Yes. Don't give up the day job.
Hey!
Right. Okay, then I presume Vardy's going to be one of these two, is
Vardy, and then Cordova Reed, I think.
Oh, Overschmodics, eh? Well, mind you, he's not signed for.
Not him.
For God's sake, Dakova Reed.
Cordova. It's Cordova. C-O-R. No, we don't have the da. We don't have the da at the front. Cordova. D-O. There he is.
You see, he does have the D in the front. It was D hyphen.
So do most men, I think.
Hey! Bum bum.
Right. That is my team take on the world.
Playing off the front, do you think?
Yeah, we will, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So no place for Ricardo.
Oh, fuck. No, that's wrong. This is what happens when you spring it on me. For God's sake.
You can change. I'm not holding you to this.
What are the comments saying? I feel like I need some help with this.
Hang on a second. Let's have.
Can we have 12? we might stay up then.
Solid defense, and the only comment: no, Ricardo. Are you serious? No, this is the thing. She just remembered there's no.
He only told me about this as the show was starting.
I did. In fairness, I did not give her a lot of notice on this one.
He's like, oh, by the way, I need you starting 11.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to boot Christensen out, put JJ on the left and Ricardo on the right.
Really? Wow. Okay. I don't know how we're going to do this.
Yeah, press the cross, maybe. Press the little cross. Oh, no, go down one and edit. That's it, the little pencil. That's it. So then... Oh, that's changing his face.
Oh, hang on.
Remove.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
It has been a season, well, the close season since I did this.
And the little pencil thing again. That's it. And then remove.
Don't you say that? How dare you? That's very...
How very dare you?
How very dare you, indeed.
Vicky P, come on. Right, that'll do.
So that is your starting 11.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, now then, I am going to disagree with you on some of these. Which ones, though? That is the question. I agree. We've got to have Ricardo in there. Well, Hermansen, first of all, yeah, goes without saying. Ricardo and Cody, yes. Ockley, or Coley, however you want to pronounce it. I would I have Vestergaard in there?
It's not easy, is it? I hope the comments are giving you some grief.
Would I start Faze? No, I don't like Faze.
It gives you the heebie-jeebies with his pace.
Yes. Who am I missing? For me, I'd probably all right. Let's say we'll stick with the Coley because he's new. I would have Christensen, not Justin. I think.
See, I'm just on looking at the live chat. I can see Wayne said swap Ricky P for Ndidi. That was exactly what was going through my head rather than taking Christensen out. But can we afford to drop someone like Wilf?
Very good question. I don't know if we can. Apart from that, that is probably the only change I would make. And Dakova Reed just behind Vardy, giving him that option.
What was the one change? A Coley?
In fact, I'm going to make 2 changes. So that's your team, yeah?
Yeah.
So let me just save that, and then I'll.
God, Steve Cooper's not got an easy time doing this.
No, he hasn't. That's where he makes his money from.
Do you think he's on the build your own football team app?
He's probably there now. Oh, here we go.
He's watching the podcast. He's underneath another name on the podcast, seeing what we're saying.
He is. He's Ronald McDonald. Right. Let us save that. Okay. Here we go. Right. So, how do I go back now? That is the question.
Did you just put new? So a new. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right. So. Here we go. So.
Battle woo Abdo running down the wing Abdo in the Leicester sing Abdo.
Why can't I?
No, you can't have 14 players before you ask the question.
Right. Let's first of all. I'm sorry, James. I love you to bits, but
JJ. Saw him in Sainsbury's Post Park the other week.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. It was that moment when you walk by someone in the shop and you're like, I know that person. And then as I walked by him, I was like, it's JJ. And then as I did that and turned, another guy did the same, thinking, is that JJ? And we both went, yeah, it's him, isn't it? And we just left him to it. He was with his little boy.
Very
and
good.
You don't want to bother people when they're doing the shop, do you? It's a bit.
No. Right, how do you spell his name?
Christiansen. Tian.
Right. Here's now. You're going to hate me now.
Hate you more. Hustin? Who's Hustin?
Look, I'm under pressure. I can't type when I'm being watched.
You're under pressure. I got naffle notice for this. And I left
I've
out
had no notice.
as a result of it.
Right. The reason I'm doing this
Steffi.
I'm doing that so I can. Why can't I move him?
Can you drag and drop? Just remove.
I did remove and then I put him back in again.
You've got two Mavadidis.
I know.
At least we're symmetrical.
I thought he could move. Right, so what am I spelling wrong? How do you spell Fataru?
He was there, wasn't he? He was there. He was just there twice for some reason. There he is at the top, isn't it?
Oh, they've still got him as Porto, have they? Oh well.
Oh.
Before I was able to move them. Anyway, just Unfortunately, this is where you're going to hate me.
Three down.
I'm going to go for that, but with Fatu and obviously Mavididi a bit further forward and Discovery just behind Vardy.
Yeah, I mean that was one of my other options to think of swapping Wolf out.
Why can't I move?
Do you think that we can afford to lose a defensive midfielder like Wolf?
I think we're going to have to go for it.
Yeah.
I think if we didn't have if we had FaZe and Vestergaard behind, I would be more worried.
Yeah.
But I think because we've got Cody, who doesn't really go forward that much, if I'm honest with you. When you look at him, he does tend to sort of stay back a bit more. Therefore, I think we probably can. And Winks hasn't been in pre-season the Winks that he was last season, where he was all over the place.
Okay.
But look, we know Cooper will probably come up like managers do with something completely different altogether.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, except for the obvious, like, attacking, I think he might put us for an early bath, to be honest, Wayne.
Yes.
Yeah, apart from the obvious KDH replacement, I'm all right with that. Some really good quality players in there.
Yes. And I would not be upset if your team was to come out, so interesting. Right, well, there we go then. That is it. Yes.
Staying up, 41 points, job's done.
Yeah, but how many are we going to get deducted?
41 points.
That's a silly thing, isn't it? Like, come on.
That has to get sorted. That has to get sorted by the start of the season. There's absolutely no excuse. None
whatsoever. Kate, thank you so very much. It's been a long one, and I do apologise for that. We just talk, and you need more than 300 words.
On my nice new wall.
Oh, show your wall to everybody then. Do show your wall.
People. So I've got my little Leicester City Premier League title winning team display as the badge and all the team behind it. And then I've got the Foxes on Tour map to the right, which is a scratch map to show what away grounds I've been to. And I've done 46 of the 92 now.
Well, like you say, you're 50% there.
Huh?
So have you renewed your season ticket?
Yes, I've renewed it, yeah.
I applied again, didn't get one, which I wasn't expecting. I have renewed my Fox membership, but they are already sending out emails about going in the draws to get some home tickets and away tickets. So it will be interesting. I hope to be getting to a lot of away games again this season.
Yes, I hope so. I've just bought my Fulham ticket.
Hey.
I'm hoping to erase the memory of the previous trip to Craven Cottage because it was absolutely horrendous.
Wasn't it just? Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the first away one of the season. Not doing Crystal Palace because I hate getting there. It's an absolute ball ache. It's probably quicker to get to Dubai than it is to Crystal Palace. So I'm not doing Crystal Palace. I don't like that ground and it's a long way to go. It's like an hour across London by the time you've got to London. But yeah, Fulham, I'm in, I'm going. Dave was going to come as well, but by the time he pulled his finger out, they were sold out.
Who was, sorry?
Dave was going to go, he said.
Dave, was he? Oh, hey, excuse me. You two having a little meeting, are you?
No, he's going. He's sold out. They're sold out.
Married man as well, Kate. Married man.
Oh, I like them, really.
Less trouble.
Yeah.
Kate, thank you so very, very much. Tell everybody where you can be found.
Well, at the minute, I'm on Kate Blakey 40 on Twitter, so give me a hit on there. But as Chris said, Chris and I are going to be doing the BBC / blogs and weekly stuff on BBC Sport website. So watch out for us on there.
Exactly. And look forward to doing it with you, the BBC, before you say anything. But thank you so very much, Kate. You are presumably you're not going to be watching the pre-season
game. No, I don't think so. I'll let you know if I am. I don't think I'm around, but we're back next Wednesday, aren't we?
We are. We're back with the Let's Talk Leicester debate show. Hopefully Dave will be joining us for that. We will see. But Kate, all the best. Thank you so very much. Lovely display behind. And I will see you, if not before, I'll see you next Wednesday.
I need to get that in there. Look, there we go. Okay. All right, bye.
All the best. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks to Kate there. Let's just have a look. Wayne says, these guys, I feel, a bit more positive with both teams. Palace is a great ground. Really loved it when we beat Wimbledon to get to the Worthington Cup final. Wasn't bad when we got when we were winning the championship, the Premier League either, was it? Can't leave Ndidi out. No, unfortunately, he came in at the end there. We weren't playing a 4-4-2. It wasn't allowing me to swap the players around. If you have a look at the one before, it was more of a sort of a 4-3-2-1, if you like. So yeah, it wasn't a 4-4-2 at all. It was just the fact that I couldn't move it wasn't allowing me, if you saw, to move the players around. Agree, Chris. I think Ricky P is wasted at fullback inverted. Yeah, I always preferred him further up front, to be honest with you. Like you say, taking a bit of a risk with no defensive midfielder in there. But I mean, I know. Indeed, he is going back to a more defensive role this season. We've seen that in the few pre-seasons. But we've got to take a chance. If we do not take the chance, we can't afford to be defensive. We're going to get points deducted. We need to sort that out as soon as we can. Oh, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for Kate for coming in. A link is in the description if you missed it. And thank you to the mods for keeping an eye on the chat. Mainly thank you to everybody who has watched and those who have listened via their favourite podcast platform. If you remember, thank you for your continued support. If you want to join, it's only $1.99 a month. Details below on YouTube. It does really help the channel and keep us going. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because that helps us as well. Home form is going to be vital. Yes, it is indeed. Talking of which, our next show is tomorrow at 7:00 when we will be looking at pre-season, doing a pre-season review with Ant's Leicester fan channel. But this has been LTID TV. Hang on, wait, let me get the right bit up here. Thank you. This has been LTID TV. I have been Chris, and I will be back. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the Talk Sport Fan Network. Talk Sport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.